Have you ever felt like you're constantly being pulled in different directions, trying to keep everyone else happy, only to end up feeling overwhelmed and drained? In today's episode, part 3 of the Overcoming Overwhelm series, we'll be diving into 3 hidden habits that could be sabotaging your sense of balance and peace. We'll be uncovering practical ways to regain control and reduce overwhelm. Ready to finally feel like you're living life on your own terms? Let's get into it. Are you an overwhelmed stay-at-home mom struggling to keep your home organized and cozy while balancing endless tasks? Do you feel like no matter how much you do, it's never enough? Are you constantly comparing your life and home to others on social media? If you're feeling lost in your role as a homemaker and mother, you're not alone. Welcome to Modern Homemaker Mom, the podcast that provides simple homemaking strategies rooted in biblical principles. Each episode offers real-life solutions to help you confidently create a peaceful, inviting home. From managing your time and priorities to decluttering, organizing, and building healthy habits, you'll learn how to organize your home and life with purpose. I'm Jynae, a wife, mom, and homemaker just like you. I know what it feels like to be overwhelmed by the daily demands of running a household while trying to nurture your family and maintain a sense of peace in your home. Through my own journey of learning homemaking skills and living out my calling as a wife and mother, I have found freedom in embracing these roles with joy. Now I'm here to help other stay-at-home moms do the same without the stress. It's time to confidently step into your calling and create a home that reflects God's love. Let's build a home that you and your family love, one step at a time. Too many times from my own experience, I have found that social interaction has been something that is a large contributor to the overwhelm, feeling burnt out feeling in my life. Now, I'm an introvert at heart and always have been that way. I feel most recharged when I get time alone to myself, to reflect, to just have that moment of stillness. There's other people though who, and there's nothing wrong with this, but there's other people who feel like their battery gets recharged when they spend time with people. So I think a lot of us are actually introverts or introverts with extrovert tendencies. Deep down, I really think that we all really truly need that quiet time and alone time to recharge. It just looks different for everyone. But that being said, there are some key factors that you need to consider. So let's dive right in with number 1. If you're feeling overwhelmed in your life, it is probably because you're not setting boundaries. Do you feel like you're being spread too thin? Or do you have difficulty saying no? Or are you constantly prioritizing other people's needs over your own? These are all signs that you have weak boundaries. Now, setting boundaries is something that I've actually really struggled with pretty much my whole life. It's only just more recently since I've had a baby that I've realized the importance of it. I tend to be a people pleaser, or I like to call it a peacekeeper, where I will make commitments to things or say yes to things just because I want to make sure that people are happy and to keep the peace, even if that means sacrificing my own needs. And I always kick myself for it afterwards when I'm feeling drained because I said yes to something that I really shouldn't have. But at the beginning of this year, when I was thinking about my kind of New Year's resolutions, one of the things that I really wanted to work and stretch myself on was the art of saying no. And yes, I will call it an art because I really don't think it comes easy to most of us, nor do we like saying no to people. Near the end of my pregnancy, I was incredibly sore and I was tired. I was having a lot of lower back pain. And this is really when I started realizing that I needed to say no to things. I feel like it was honestly just a mindset shift, but being only a couple weeks away from having my baby, I decided I'm going to start saying no. And I guess I came to the point where I realized that I needed to properly take care of myself so that I could properly take care of my family. And when my baby came, I just wanted people to respect those boundaries and to give us the space that we needed because, this was our first child and we were going to be learning all sorts of things. There would be sleepless nights. And so setting boundaries was something that my husband and I decided it was a very important thing for us to do. Now, don't get me wrong, it was incredibly hard. In fact, it gave me anxiety and sometimes I would cry about it because I just don't like upsetting people. It makes me feel really bad. Even though I know that our intentions are pure, it was a hard thing for me to overcome. But I will say that the more you do it, the easier it's going to get. So while I'm kind of referring to saying no to social interactions, there are all sorts of aspects where we need to set boundaries. That could be with work-life balance. That can be, like I said, social obligations. family interactions. The thing that I ask myself when something comes up and I'm being asked of something, or if I'm considering if I want to do an extra thing, I ask myself, do I have capacity for this? Because if the answer is no, then I probably shouldn't be adding it to my plate. So to make things easy for you, here are a few examples I'm going to give you of some polite ways that you can say no or set limits. Honestly, people don't always need an explanation for why you're saying no to things, so it could be something as simple as, I'd love to, but I have other commitments today. Or something that I will often include in the beginning of my message is I just thank them for thinking of me so that they feel like I appreciate the fact that they were including me in this. And then you can go on to say, I've had a lot going on and I need some quiet time to recharge. If the time that they suggested or gave to you is not going to work for your schedule, you can always offer an alternate plan and say something as simple as, today doesn't work, but let's try for next week. We can touch base on Monday and go from there. I know that you're likely a stay-at-home mom just like I am, but just because we aren't working that 9-to-5 job like many people do, that doesn't mean that our schedules shouldn't still be respected. Just because I don't jump into my car and drive to an office where I work in front of my computer all day doesn't mean that I don't still have things that I need to attend to. If you can't attend a social event because you're going to be busy cleaning out your closets, literally, or organizing your pantry or cleaning out your fridge, that is still a very viable and okay reason to decline an invitation. Or maybe you don't even have anything on the agenda at all, you just might need some time to relax. There's been many times where I've declined going to social events just because I know that my social battery is totally spent. And that's totally okay. Now, aside from social outings, there's also other areas that we may need to set boundaries, and oftentimes that revolves around our phone usage. I'm just gonna say it. I know it's a touchy subject, and we don't want to admit the fact that maybe there's a little bit of an addiction going on there. I will be the first to raise my hand and acknowledge that sometimes, yes, I do struggle with saying no and putting my phone away. So when I really want to get something done, I set my phone to do not disturb, or I might even set it to do not disturb and put it into a drawer in the kitchen or something so that it's out of sight, out of mind, not going to distract me. And those are the times that I'm most productive too. Reason number 2 you could be feeling overwhelmed is because you are socializing too much or when you shouldn't be. If you're feeling drained, irritable, or out of balance, these are all signs that you may have been socializing more than you should, but we need to recognize when our social batteries are totally spent, and we need to respect that. For introverts, constant social interaction causes burnout. It can be draining for us. And I think the reason that it's so draining is because over-socializing leaves little room to recharge. There's also a difference between quality time with close friends or people that you really feel comfortable with versus forced social obligations where you went but you didn't really want to go. I'm sure you know what I mean when I'm saying that. For me, there's people in my life who I just feel super comfortable with and I could spend hours with them and it wouldn't even bother me. And then there's other situations, more so like those situations where there's a lot of people. It can be a little bit congested and loud. Those are the places where I feel very overwhelmed and like having this burning desire to have some quiet time to myself. So I think what it really just all boils down to is being mindful of how much social interaction you can handle. The third reason we're going to go over today is you're trying to people please to make everyone else happy. Now, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but if you are feeling like you're neglecting your own needs, you're overcommitting, or you're saying yes to social events too often just so that you can avoid conflict, this is a sign that you're people pleasing. The problem with people pleasing is it leads to emotional exhaustion and resentment. And this is a dangerous thing because it's not the person's fault for us feeling like this. It's our fault because we're not setting the boundaries and we're not saying no. I think as women, sometimes we get caught up in that whole believing that everyone can read our minds. Well, actually, ladies, and speaking to myself, hate to break it to us, I should say, not everyone can read our minds, and sometimes we have to use our words. You know how we're telling our kids, use your words? Well, sometimes we need to use our words, and I'm speaking to myself here too. It's really important that we make a decision or say yes to something from a place of actually genuinely wanting to, rather than doing it out of obligation and feeling like we have to do it. So it's really all about a mindset shift where we need to remind ourselves of our worth and our own needs. Do I feel like I can do this? Like I said, do I feel like I have capacity for this? Is my heart in the right place when I'm giving this answer? Or am I answering this invite with bitterness attached? I'm one of those people who, when I get put on the spot, I often feel like I'm backed into a corner and I'll just say yes right away. I won't even think about it and I'll say yes. And then later I'm like, Jynae, why did you say yes to that? You know that you don't have time for that, or you know that you're busy on that day. So when I recognized this, I decided I wasn't going to give an answer right away. I often will say, I'm going to talk to Jeremy, my husband, about this first and I'll get back to you. I am a thinker and I need time to analyze and really ponder things before I give a solid answer. I want to explore all areas of it and make sure, is my heart in the right place? Do I have capacity for this? Is it okay for my family? Do we have any other commitments? There's so many factors that play into my decision making. And so ever since I started being more mindful about a response to people, it's honestly helped me in so many ways so that I walk away with a good, solid headspace and I feel really confident in the answer that I give people and I know that I made the right decision. So I want to encourage you today, as your homework, to identify one area where you feel like you need a boundary, one area where you're lacking. It could be as simple as setting a time limit on your social media usage, or politely saying no to an extra obligation that someone's asked you to join, or maybe deciding on spending some extra quiet time for yourself each evening. I want you to practice sticking to this boundary for a week, and then at the end of the week, I want you to see if you noticed any difference in your stress levels. So in summary, the 3 main takeaways I want you to remember from today's episode are to be mindful of: number 1, setting boundaries; number 2, socializing at the appropriate times; and number 3, consider your needs before thinking about people pleasing. Remember that finding balance starts with putting your own needs first. And no, this isn't selfish. I know it feels selfish, but it's not. By setting small, meaningful boundaries, because you can start small, we don't always have to start big, and respecting your social limits while moving away from that people-pleasing tendency that we often fall into, you'll start creating a life that feels more fulfilling and less stressful. So that's it for today, friends. If you haven't already, take a moment to go subscribe to this show so that you don't miss out on the episodes I have coming out every single week. And until next time, I'll see you in the next episode. Before you go, if this podcast has encouraged or helped you in any way, the best way that you can show your support is by subscribing to the show and leaving a written 5-star review. Your words truly make my day and remind me why I love sharing here. You can also snap a screenshot of this episode and share it with a friend or post it to your Instagram stories. Make sure to tag me at Her Stable Home. Thanks so much for listening, friend. I will see you next time.